Welcome to Books and Ideas Audio, a presentation of the Vancouver Writers Fest. The Vancouver Writers Fest connects people to exceptional books, ideas, and dialogue through year-round programming that ignites a passion for words and the world around us. I'm Leslie Hertig, Artistic Director, and I'm very happy to be sharing this conversation featuring award-winning author, journalist, and advocate Tanya Talaga and celebrated broadcaster Shelagh Rogers in conversation to celebrate the work and life of Senator Murray Sinclair and the launch of his remarkable memoir, Who We Are: 4 Questions for a Life and Nation. This event was recorded live on October 24th, 2024, as part of the 37th Annual Vancouver Writers Festival. Special thanks to our event sponsors, Talking Stick Festival and Penguin Random House Canada. The Vancouver Writers Fest carries out its work, including this event you're about to listen to, on the unceded and ancestral territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations.
Hello and good evening. I'm Stephanie Sinclair, proud member of the Sinclair family and publisher of McClellan & Stewart. Welcome to Knowing Who We Are and Who We Can Be, presented in partnership with Talking Stick Festival. There are many interesting stories of how this book came to be. We've all been waiting decades for Murray's memoir, and it took a few different starts and formats, and I'm incredibly proud of where we landed. Murray always said he wanted this book to sound like him, to reflect his storytelling. He didn't want a traditional memoir. He wanted to tell stories on the page and offer his wisdom, his kindness, his insights, and his humor through these stories. And I'm confident and grateful that Who We Are reflects that. Having personally spent more time with my uncle in person and in print over the last few years, I find myself a better person for it. So I know that if people across Turtle Island come to this book, the country will be better for it too. And thank you to all of you for coming to this conversation. We had planned tonight for Murray to be up here, and it's heartbreaking that he can't join us here in the room tonight to receive and participate in the celebration he so deserves. But it would be more heartbreaking to not have this event to honor Murray's work, his legacy, and his extraordinary contributions to our country, to our community, and to all of us as individuals. We are incredibly fortunate to have Shelagh Rogers and Tanya Talaga to help us celebrate Murray's new book and his remarkable work. Shelagh Rogers is a veteran broadcast journalist, and most recently, she was the host and co-creator of CBC Radio's The Next Chapter. Shelagh is the co-editor of the 3-volume Speaking My Truth series about residential school, healing, and reconciliation, published by the Aboriginal Healing Foundation. In 2011, she was inducted as honorary witness for the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, a life-changing honor. She's since devoted her focus to amplifying Indigenous voices, Indigenous narratives, and the truth of Canada's history. Also in 2011, she was named Officer of the Order of Canada. In 2016, she was the inaugural recipient of the Margaret Trudeau Award for Mental Health Advocacy. She's been recognized with honorary doctorates from 8 universities, and she served as Chancellor of the University of Victoria from 2015 to 2021. She's now the 16th Chancellor of Queen's University, succeeding the Honourable Murray Sinclair. Shelagh is a member of the Métis Nation of Greater Victoria with family roots in Red River, Manitoba. Shelagh now lives in Winnipeg, where she's connecting with her Métis family, including her cousin Murray. She's honored to be back at the Vancouver Writers Fest to talk about who we are. Please welcome Shelagh Rogers.
Thanks, sweetie. Thank you.
Tanya Talaga is of Anishinaabe and Polish descent and was born and raised in Toronto. She's a member of Fort William First Nation. Her mother was raised on the traditional territory of Fort William First Nation and Treaty 9. She's the acclaimed author of the national bestseller 7 Fallen Feathers, which won the RBC Taylor Prize, the Shaughnessy Cohen Prize for Political Writing, and the First Nation Community Reads Young Adult Award. A finalist for the Hilary Weston Writers' Trust Prize for Nonfiction and the BC National Award for Canadian Nonfiction. The book was also CBC's Nonfiction Book of the Year and a Globe and Mail Top 100 book. There are so many acclaims to this. Tanya was the 2017-2018 Atkinson Fellow in Public Policy and the 2018 CBC Massey Lecturer. She's also the author of the national bestseller, All Our Relations, Finding the Path Forward. For more than 20 years, she was a journalist at the Toronto Star and is now a regular columnist at the Globe and Mail. Tanya Talaga is the founder of Makwa Creative, a production company formed to elevate Indigenous voices and stories. Tanya's most recent book, The Knowing, was an instant bestseller. Please welcome Tanya Talaga.
Hello, Tanya.
Bonjour, what's
Yeah, and hello, welcome. We're delighted that you're here to help celebrate who we are and to help honor Murray Sinclair. We both have relationships with Murray.
Yes.
How did you meet him first?
Oh, yes. You don't know this story.
I don't.
I know.
I'm sitting down.
I know. I kept trying to tell you, like, don't tell me. Wait to the stage. So I first met Murray actually through after my first book was published, after Seven Fallen Feathers was published. Seven Fallen Feathers is about 7 high school students who had no high schools in their home First Nations communities and had to fly to Thunder Bay all alone, leave their language, their culture, everything they know, and go to school in a place that didn't really want them. It's a hard book, it's a book about racism, it's a book about the deaths of the 7 students, and about the police force, and how the police didn't investigate the deaths at all. And Murray actually was appointed the commissioner to do an investigation into the Thunder Bay Police Board. And the Thunder Bay, all police boards are meant to police the police. And so he was doing a series of hearings for his investigation, and I was called to testify at his investigation. And I remember being so incredibly nervous meeting him. All I could think about was my grandma and my family and all of the things that had happened to my family because of who we are.
Yeah.
And I remember he came out, it was this nondescript office. It was above the Red Lobster at Bay and Dundas in downtown Toronto, because that's where he had come. And it was like they had this office right above. And so that's where I was. And I remember just being totally overcome. I was thinking about all these things, and I was crying when I met him, and I just held his hand, and it was so warm. I'm sure he's had this introduction, like every time one of our people meet him, right? They just feel like they have to thank him.
Yes.
And I did. Yeah. And I thanked him from my family for all of the work he has done for our people. And he said to me, I have to thank you for the work you have done. And he had a copy of Seven Fallen Feathers with him, and he goes, this is why I'm here.
Wow.
Right?
Wow. Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's a lovely, lovely story. And I remember as an honorary witness watching survivors go to him during Murray's break, and he needed a break. What he was hearing was dark and heavy and horrible, and so he would listen to them. He didn't take his break, and they would all say thank you, and he would say, I thank you. That's who he is, and I think that his humility runs like a river through who we are.
Absolutely.
And so does his humor.
Absolutely.
And I first met him because he was disappointed in the quality of coffee.
This is a good story.
Well, it was an event I was hosting, and he was drinking his coffee, and he said, "Oh, this isn't very good." You know, there's a Tim Hortons about 2 blocks away, double. That was it. How could you say no?
Did he know who you were?
I don't think he knew, no.
Did he just think you were just a rando standing around?
I could never pretend to walk in Murray's head, but yeah, I brought the double, and after that,
That is the most niche thing ever. Where's the Tim Hortons?
Where's the Tim Hortons?
Yeah.
And it was pouring rain. I remember that part. But we have had a lot of humorous encounters. And again, his humor is very present in this book as well, and his humanity. I could really go down the humor chain, and I won't quite yet, because I do want to get to the book and who we are and why it's called Who We Are. And it's who we are, 4 questions for a life and a nation. And those 4 questions are: where do I come from? Where am I going? Why am I here?
Who am I?
And who am I? Exactly. Yeah. And this is we're going to play a clip of Murray talking about why he wanted to use those 4 questions as a guide for his memoir.
Those questions were part of the kinds of questions that Plato and other philosophers would raise as part of their work, and they weren't exactly worded in that way, but I heard an elder speak about them at a ceremonial gathering that was held in Saskatchewan at the World Assembly of First Nations, and this elder was from Australia, and he spoke about that every parent's responsibility is to help their children understand those 4 questions and to learn how to answer them. And I was struck by that. I was struck by the fact that my family and my grandparents had endeavored to give me answers to those questions, but they were answers that were greatly prejudiced by the residential school experience, which was such a dominant force in our family, that I didn't have complete access to all the information that I felt I needed in order to be able to answer them. And so I set out on a road to discover what those answers were. And for me, it really, I sort of held off on really pushing hard on it. But when my eldest, Nigan, was born, and as I was holding him, I wanted him to know more about his life, his total life, going back as far as we could towards the beginning of time, as he could, because I wanted him to have a better foundation in life than I had when I was growing up. And I had a good foundation of love, but I didn't have a good foundation of knowledge of what it meant to be Anishinaabe.
Tanya, I know you identify with that.
Oh, yes, in so many ways, First, a little story before I wanted to talk about what he's got in the book here. When I was writing All Our Relations, I was kind of stuck. I had to write this book. It was a part of the Massey Lectures in 5 months, not a lot of time.
Wow. Yeah.
And I remember going through this section. I was struggling with questions of my own indigeneity, right? And how do I explain to people how I was raised and what my family had been through? And I remember reaching out to Murray and asking him to talk to me about his 3 questions. I'd forgotten one. So he wrote me a note back, an email back, and he's like, "Hey, really great to hear you. This is after we had met, and he said I could contact him anytime." He goes, "You're missing a question." So
which one was it?
Oh, I can't remember which one it was, but it was so embarrassing. There he was, like he had written in the Globe and Mail about this. He'd done a feature about these questions, and there I was. And so then we had this conversation back and forward, and he literally saved my butt. And as he would do, right? And we had a long conversation about him going to school. And also, too, some of the things that I want to read from the book right now, just quickly, about those 4 questions. And these are things that I asked myself when I was young, and I still ask myself these questions. And I think most First Nations people of a certain age ask themselves these questions, He said that when he was growing up, he wanted to know, and he had just come back, he was young, he was a teenager, he'd just come back from a trip to England. I think he was there with the Air Cadets. Was he there? Is that why he was there? Yeah, he was. He was an Air Cadet. And so he just came back, page 59, and he said, somebody had said to him that he needed to go home and find out about his people. See what you can find out about your ancestors, where your people came from, what they stand for, and what they stood for. You'll find a story worth finding. And then he wrote this. This is Murray. I wanted to know why I did not know the ways of my people. I wanted to know why Canada did not know the ways of my people. I wanted to know why Canada had all the land and Indians had these small plots called reserves. I wanted to know why I could not speak the language of my grandmother, why I did not know the history and traditions of my people, the Anishinaabe. I also wanted to know why my grandmother and so many others believed that by not teaching me those things, she was saving my life. Wow. That, was a gut punch to me when I read this, because that's exactly how I felt. And in all of my books, and in particular The Knowing, I really take that, I really dive deep into what are the foundations in this society that led us here. And here he is having this conversation with me, as he always is, right?
Yeah. And that's what's beautiful about this book. I'm so biased about this book.
Yeah.
Aren't you?
I mean, I was like, and it was a pleasant surprise to read.
Yeah.
I was expecting something different.
Yeah, me too.
I thought it was going to be, I became the justice here, and I did this, and I did that.
Which he could do.
He could
right?
do.
Yeah.
And no.
No, doesn't it feel like a visit?
It does. It does.
It really feels that way, and it's so beautifully oral, and these stories were captured very beautifully by Negon and Sarah Sinclair, and another. I mean, this is a family production.
It is, and can you talk a little bit about that? Because I heard about that when I was in Winnipeg. I helped Negon launch the book in Winnipeg. When was that?
September 26th.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes, I was like,
sorry.
I know, and I think you were supposed to be there, but you couldn't. So then I was there,
desperately,
and so
to be there.
And it was. I learned a lot, and how the book was put together too was a family affair.
There's the storytelling, of course, and as told to Negon, and also to Sarah. Stephanie knows way more about this than I do. So, Steph, if you want to run back up on stage.
And they're sisters.
Stephanie and Sarah Sinclair are sisters.
Yes.
And then there's another Sarah Sinclair, who is Murray's granddaughter.
That's right. And
Negon's daughter.
Yes, and Murray talks about her a lot. And if you know Murray, you know how special Sarah is. Like his grandchildren are everything to him.
Everything, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Sarah came to all the national gatherings of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which was I have goosebumps even thinking about it, because in those days she would have been 7, 8, 9, 10, standing beside her grandfather, her Moshem. And you would understand that Sarah would be in residential school in another era, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so really, really compelling. And yes, you're so right. I think everything he does is for
Sarah, for his grandchildren, like
yeah.
that's always his reason now. Oh my gosh, and there were so many surprises in this book too.
Yeah.
Can I give one away?
Please.
Did
we want to?
Did you know? I feel like I'm gossiping.
Go ahead.
Did you know that he was going to be a priest? See, people
Right?
didn't know that. Did you know that? I didn't know that either. Yeah, but there's a story there because he was raised by his grandparents.
That's right.
His grandma.
Yeah.
And the story is that one of like her children, she had told the church
Yeah.
that one of her children would enter.
The priesthood.
Yes.
Yeah.
And nobody wanted to. And he was a grandchild. So he was voted the one to do it.
Yeah.
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 And there's a story in here about how he wanted to go to school
Yeah.
instead.
It was education.
Yeah, he wanted to go to university. He
Yeah.
wanted to go to law school.
Yeah.
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 And he needed her permission.
Yeah.
Wasn't that his grandma's
That's right. Yeah.
permission? She had to sign this
exactly.
letter
Yeah.
so he could
Yeah.
go to school.
Yeah.
And she kept it to the very last day,
Yeah.
right? Because she kept hoping maybe that he was going to change his mind. And then at the last day, she signed it.
And we're very grateful that she
I know.
did. Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. Can you imagine? You
I know.
Can't imagine.
No, I can't. I
Yeah.
can't. And, considering the life that he has and his role, foundational role with the TRC, what a pivot.
Yeah.
Right?
That's for sure.
Just amazing.
While we're talking about school, he writes a lot about how in school he didn't fit in.
Oh, yes.
And one of his very favorite stories ever was the ugly duckling. And in fact, you brought me a little intel about.
Oh yeah, there was a
about the
bit.
ugly duckling.
Apparently, so Negan was telling me. I don't know if I'm supposed to divulge this or not, but he was telling me that apparently Murray was going on and on about the Murray duckling, the ugly duckling, ad nauseum. Like Negan said, it was all through, like it was chapters and chapters that was going on and on about the ugly duckling story. And he was like, Dad, no, it's not a book about the ugly duckling. And he said, and I don't know if he was serious about this, that he wanted to call the book The Ugly Duckling. It's like, what? It's like, I don't know if he was joking, Negan, when he said that, or if that was serious, but can you imagine?
It features big though.
It's huge.
And
it's huge.
Yeah.
And it speaks to those questions.
It
or
does
those
very much
statements.
speak to the questions. And I can't see you, but I was in Calgary a couple of weeks ago, and there were a few people that didn't know the story of the ugly duckling for one reason or another. But this is about a duckling who just doesn't fit in with all the other ducklings, and he gets the nickname the ugly duckling. Until one day. And in Murray's case, what he did was to really work hard. He became valedictorian. Mm-hmm. He became an award-winning athlete. Mm-hmm. He was going to be as good as they all were. And he kind of picks up the story of the ugly duckling in this clip.
And I strove hard to get them to see that I really belonged, that I was one of them, but I never did get accepted in the same way. And the story of the ugly duckling goes on to say that as he wandered one day, feeling so lonely and lost and so sad that he was being treated like this, then he came upon this pond that was filled with these beautiful, beautiful swans. And when he looked at the swans and then he looked at his feathers, he then looked in the water and he saw his reflection in the water, and he realized that he was actually a swan, and that they were beautiful, and they weren't ducklings, and that he was not a duckling, that he was actually a beautiful, beautiful swan. And he then found out who he was, and that made him lose his shame. It made him lose his sense of denigration, his sense of having to compete in order to belong. It made him realize that he did belong, and that he didn't have to strive to convince the ducklings that he was one of them. He actually was part of another beautiful group, and so that sort of describes my life. It describes the life of many Anishinaabe people too. When you come to that realization that you are just as valid, that you are just as good, and I told that story. I tell it to Sarah, and Sarah got to the point where she said, "Oh no, not the ugly duckling again." She said, "Musham, if you stand up and start flying around the room again like you did last time, I'm not going to listen to you." Sometimes it gets out of hand. Okay.
Yeah, that story.
I can just see it.
Yeah. Well, he's, it's in the book quite a bit, that theme of the ugly duckling, those questions, the statements that I read out, that sense of shame. Especially if you're of a certain age, right? I mean, my mother, Murray, their generation and the generation beforehand, there was a lot of shame, right?
Yeah. My father.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was Métis until after he died.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was, don't tell anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't tell, because you'll get treated differently.
Yeah.
And he talks about that, about how, when they were growing up in community on the res, life was wonderful and beautiful, but then when they moved into town, that's when he realized that people were treating him differently, and the ugly duckling was ensconced in him.
Something that resonates so much in Seven Fallen Feathers, too.
Yeah, exactly. And all our relations, absolutely, finding that sense of belonging.
Right.
And why is it that we are missing that piece with so many of our youth and ourselves?
Yeah.
And he is talking about that very much so in Who We Are.
He also talks about how, he must have had to sit through classes where the inferiority of Indigenous people would have been discussed and just unquestioned, unchallenged.
That's right.
And one of the points I remember that he made at the TRC, and I think it's in the book too, that a lot of the leaders of our generation, if you think of members of parliament, for example, that's what they grew up thinking. That
Absolutely. And that's like one of his most famous sayings, and I use this all the time, is something he said to me, and education got us into this mess. Education will get us out of this mess, right?
Exactly.
And speaking of that, one of the things I was corresponding to him about was when he was in university and when he was in law school. He said that he was sitting in a classroom where he was being taught to hate himself. Right? From what he was learning. And we corresponded about that quite a bit. He told me how difficult law school was for him because of those feelings and what he had to learn and unlearn, and question, like, this can't be right. But you couldn't do that in the time that he was in law school, right? He had to agree with everything that he was being taught because he had to pass.
Yeah, exactly. Which is, just to digress for a moment, I love digression so much. But Harold Johnson, your friend, that's why he left the law. because he was locking up. He was getting his own people locked up and incarcerated.
Couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah, he just could not take that anymore. Yeah. And one of the reasons, again, going back to grandchildren, this book, I know, came together with his granddaughter, Sarah, so much in mind. And she's a stunning young woman. She's 18, going to the University of Ottawa, studying music. She's a flutist and a piccolo player. And she's marvelous. She's inherited Murray's wonderful sense of humor. But there was a thing he wrote about grandchildren, and talking about how they fill my heart with love, strength, and inspiration. They lift me up when life weighs me down. They're the light in the tunnels I must sometimes walk. They're my hope as I believe I am theirs. I am what I am for them. I do what I do for them. Now there's a little corollary here. When I was a lawyer, I thought I was brilliant. Then I had kids, and I found out I was pretty dumb. Now I have grandchildren, and they tell me I'm the smartest mushum in the world. And now I'm brilliant again.
It says it all.
He's on the outside of his apartment. He's got a carving of a fish, and it says "heavy metal mushum." It's really great.
That's so Murray.
Yeah, so Murray. I was surprised, Tanya, and maybe you were too, by the poetry in this book. What did you think?
Yeah. I was stunned by that too, but then I wasn't. Because we shared a mutual good friend, and that's Lee Miracle. And Lee Miracle, if you knew her, she was always trying to get you to write poetry. Because she goes, you know what, that's closest to our oral story. I could still hear her yelling at me in her backyard. You need to write poetry. And she demanded I come over to her house one day. And when Lee demanded something, you just did it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. And so I did with a little red notebook. And she goes, we're going to write poetry. And I was terrified. I'm like, she goes, just bring anything. Just write anything. And so we did. We did some writing. We did a lot of laughing, a lot of drinking tea, and I think I brought a giant thing of donuts, but she was diabetic, so I ate them. I know. So I remember, and Kalumpa was there in their backyard, and the dog was running around, and we used to talk about Murray. I didn't know that they were very, very close. And so when I read, Who We Are, and then I saw his poetry, I was like, oh, that's Lee.
Yeah.
That's Lee. Yeah. A lot of, I can't help but being here and think of her, for sure.
Absolutely. Yes. So close to her home territory as well. I think maybe we could read one of his poems.
Oh, you want me to read one of his poems?
Yeah, I'd love that.
Okay. There was one, where was this? This one isn't my book because
Okay.
I
Is it As We Grow Old?
Yes, that's the one. That's the
Page
one.
263.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It's called As We Grow Old. As we grow old, the ground we walk on rises up, so that, as each of those few moments left to us pass by, and we grow old, and hair turns grayer still, we move a bit more slowly. At such a speed, we can see around us more of life today, and feel we understand the present more. For we have lived among the weeds and trees from which it came, and we have much we want and need to stay.
Isn't that beautiful?
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
And that ends part 1.
Yes.
And then we go into part 2, which is what we have learned, Principles of Truth and Reconciliation. And this was a report by the TRC, but it is about what Canada has learned and learned over the course of the Truth and Reconciliation.
Absolutely.
Testimonies and events. And I think it's very important reading too. It's completely different in tone. And I found as I was reading it, I went back to listen to Murray.
Yeah.
in the first person.
Exactly. And, this was so, I was surprised again when I got to this part of the book. I wasn't expecting this, And if you have not read the TRC, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's report from 2015, I urge you to do it. Take it out from the library, read it. It is remarkable. It is remarkable storytelling. And I find myself going to it so many times for my own work to use as a touchstone. It's kind of like the tome, right?
Yes.
That's
when
what
you say the tome.
Yes.
It is. They are
It
6
is.
volumes that all together
It's
about
big.
that way. But
yeah. And I can hear him, when I'm reading through it, especially the first 2 volumes, which are about 700 to 800 pages about the history and how we got here. And so I was delighted to see it here.
he, this is a personal story, but Murray came and stayed with my husband and my dog, my schnauzer, Sam, in the summer of 2015 when he was editing the final report. And, knowing what important work this was, we had a cabin, and he didn't leave the cabin. When he needed a coffee, he'd ring a little cowbell. And
Of course, you're the coffee lady.
I guess that's a theme, right? It's a leitmotif. But Charlie would bring him a nice cappuccino. And I told Negon about this, and he said, "You've enabled him completely."
Oh, my God.
But what Murray has done, and what he did with me and Charlie, was give us the opportunity to give. And I think that's what the TRC report does as well. And that call in June of 2015 in Ottawa, where he said, "We have described for you a mountain. We have shown you a path path to the top. We call upon you to do the climbing."
Absolutely.
And that is how you can give
Absolutely.
to this country.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And those 94 calls to action that
13 of which have been answered at this
actually
point.
answered, right,
Yeah.
in almost 10 years,
Yeah. Yep.
which is remarkable. He has left us a roadmap.
Yes, he has.
Right?
Yeah.
I always say that as well because it's true. Those 94 calls are a roadmap on how we can all live together here in this country. And it's also how we can repair the heart and the spirit of this country. It's in those calls.
Yes.
He has left us for us. And, I think it's like, I know everyone knows this, but it's something that we should talk about. It's a personal toll this took on him.
Yeah.
I mean, on his body, on his spirit. I mean, listening to 7,000 survivors, witnesses to the most awful atrocities. And he took that in. He sat there and listened. And all that he did, and there's a part in the book too that he talks about how, he wasn't he said no the first time around when they asked him to be the chair of the TRC. He's like, no, you go get somebody else to do that.
He'd done the Aboriginal Justice Inquiry.
That's right.
He'd done the
That's right.
baby deaths inquiry. Yeah, yeah.
And the baby deaths.
Yeah.
And that is something in Winnipeg, right? It was
Yes,
was it the Winnipeg
that's
Regional
right.
Hospital, and the deaths of the babies, and that also. So he, as a justice, he investigated that, and that really stuck with him. He talked a lot about the pain of those babies and how he would read their names
Yes.
often
Yeah.
and think about them.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of man he is, right? And all that he carries.
Yep.
I always say, and like when I met him, I meant that we as a country owe him a great debt.
We do. Yep. At the end of the book, in what we have learned, he talks about reconciliation as relationship, about building respectful relationships. And if the 94 calls to action are too daunting, and I understand that, 94 is a big number, and a lot of them look like they're strictly institutional, but I remember he suggested adopt one or two.
That's right. I
You
always
know?
say that too,
Yeah, yeah.
right? You know, everyone, because it's without fail.
Yeah.
You'll always get asked at an end of a talk, what can I do?
Yes, exactly. And there are 10 guiding principles in the back of this book as well. And it's about healing.
You know, he says this so well here.
Yeah.
Can I just read this here? Without truth, justice, and healing, there can be no genuine reconciliation.
Yeah.
Reconciliation is not about, quote, closing a sad chapter of Canada's past, but about opening new healing pathways of reconciliation that are forged in truth and justice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes the country's in a big rush to get to reconciliation.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
I know. We're not there yet.
Yeah.
We're not there yet. We're still in the truth-finding phase. We're
certainly
still
are.
trying to find justice.
Yeah.
Very much so. And we're trying to heal. Our communities are trying to heal.
Yeah.
Our people are trying to heal.
Tanya, so much of your book is about that as well.
Yeah, very much so. And I've spent a lot of time here in BC in Tecumlip's Tshwatma, in particular after there's a story there. I was asked by the community to come and to write about the 215. And now the community doesn't like to call the 215. They don't like the use of the number. It's Leswewe, and it means the missing. I was sent an email from Ray Coy from the community. She works with Kukpi, Roseanne Casimir, saying, will you come out here and write this story? And they approached me and a couple other Indigenous journalists. And so I went at the drop of a hat, and I have been there for about 5 times since the course of writing that book. And the first time I was there, though, it was so chaotic. It was, there was the world's media were just flying to Kamloops. They were showing up on the community's doorstep. Everybody wanted to know what was going on. And then there was poor Ray at the center, one media person for the world, essentially. And I remember calling Murray.
Yeah.
You know, as I did when you know, sort of, I hate to say it, when the shits hit the fan and I don't know what else to do, I phoned Murray. And that was one of those times because I had been called by my, the Globe and Mail, because they had heard from the Prime Minister's office that maybe there was some division in the community and maybe the number wasn't the real number. And this is normal, right? So if you're a political journalist, you will know that, you know, the center, so the PMO, they will do this. They will like put a floater out there, ask one of their, you know, people that they trust in the bureau, you know, we'll trade you information. If you tell me what you know, I'll tell you what, you know, I know, type thing. And so the Globe called me. And then when I heard this, I was so angry. I was like, oh, here we go again. It's the whole, like, you know, the old story of let's divide the community. There must be division in the community, and they must be wrong with the numbers. And so I didn't know what to do, so I did 2 things. I called Alvin Fiddler, and Alvin said, you got to call Murray.
Alvin is Grand
Chief of Anishinaabe Aski Nation in Northern Ontario, Treaty Number 9 territory, and in 7 Fallen Feathers. And so I did. And, you know, that started happening. And Murray, I know, played a huge role in those first days with the community and sort of steering the path and trying to help, as he often does.
He also told you, you have to be careful because you were in the eye of the storm.
That's right. I'll never forget that. That's what he said to me at the end of our conversation. He's like, be careful. You're in the eye of the storm now. Yeah. You know, and that was also, he's given me advice in my life at certain times. And he's always been someone I turn to when I don't know what to do.
But it's only you and me that call him, right? There's nobody else.
Nobody
right?
else
no,
does.
No, it's just
I'm
us.
sure. It's just
this is
us.
the thing about
Yeah.
a person like Murray.
I
We are
know.
so far from the only people.
I know,
right?
I know. So that's again one of the things. Like, there's not just me and you. And I don't know about you, but when I was writing The Knowing, I'm like, why isn't he returning my calls? I know I was writing him emails, and I'm like, you have to read my book. You have to read my book. And he finally did call me near the end of the writing process, and he said, I'm sorry I didn't call you, but I couldn't call you. I had to write my own book.
That's a pretty good excuse.
I know it was. I'm like, okay, fine. Yeah.
Well, I've turned to him for advice as well, and I've also turned to you in this time when determining who you are can be very fraught, and you can be easily challenged to embark on a Métis journey. I've tried to do it. Let's just put it this way: no parades. No parades. But when I finally got all the documentation together, I called Murray. Actually, I have to step back for a second because I knew we were related through our 4 times great-grandmother, Nahaway, and Nahaway Sinclair. And when I found out that he was also a 4 times great-grandchild, we were at the Atlantic event at the TRC, and he said, "You probably haven't had any treaty money in your life, have you?" So he reached into his back pocket, pulled out his wallet and a $5 bill, and gave me a $5 bill.
Did he ask you to go buy coffee?
I should have thought of that, but I couldn't because of what he did next. He took it back, ripped it in half, and said, "When you get your documentation, I'll give you the other half of the 5. So when I got it, I phoned him, and I thought we were going to have a laugh about the half 5, right?
Yeah.
And all he said was, "Well, welcome home," which was the perfect thing. And he's done that for so many people.
Yes.
He's said the right thing during the TRC hearings. He talks about one of the episodes where there was an oblate priest who got up and wasn't telling the truth. And there were survivors in the back of the hall yelling, "Tell the truth, tell the truth." They were screaming. And Murray came out and just kind of diffused the bomb. "We'll let the father finish what he's saying." And they did, and things he just knew how to bring the temperature down. This book, Tanya, what are your hopes for it? What do you hope it does as it goes out into the world?
Murray's?
Yeah.
Book?
Oh yeah, yours too. But
I know.
Yeah.
Well, with Murray's book, I hope people see him as who he is. As funny. He's funny.
yeah.
He's strong, and he's got at his heart, he's still got that ugly duckling, right? That he thinks about, and that shaped his life. His grandma, how much he loved his grandma, shaped his life. Also, to know Murray and know the tragedy that he also experienced, the loss of Buddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really quite astounding. And reading the book, it was like a hug, right? And we were talking about that backstage too, that you'd often go to Murray when you needed a hug, right?
Yeah.
And we weren't the only 2 people that have been doing that.
It's just us.
It's like, but all of Canada.
Yeah,
And so
that's right. Yeah.
you can get that from Murray, because, one of the things I would also turn to him for when I had questions about, how the frig did we get in this mess, and, just big questions. And he was always so kind to me and telling me, he said this to me twice now. He said, I wrote the TRC. I wanted to do the TRC. He goes, because there will be the people that will always deny.
Yes.
And you will never be able to reach them. Then there are the people that are with you and they're allies. But he goes, it's the mushy middle. It's the people that haven't really made their mind up, that kind of have questions. He goes, that's why I wrote the TRC, to arm the reasonable.
Yes. Yeah.
And that is
That's
so incredibly well said. And I think I've used that twice now, in all our relations, and also too in the knowing. I mean, that's why I wrote that book, is to make our people feel like they belong, that they are worthy, and that this is a true history of our country, and to arm the reasonable.
Yeah, I love that. I hope this book goes home with you this evening, and I think it has so many important things to tell us. Show us. He doesn't tell, he shows us. He tells stories so that we can learn. We can take what we need from these stories. They're medicine. And some of them, as we've said, some of them are very funny. And he has this amazing balance of the great humanity and also humor. And he's talked about humility as a teaching. And if we really were humble, if we really treated everybody the way we would want to be treated, and every creature, the water. You write so beautifully about your river in the knowing, the land, the birds, the sky, everything. We would be different. We would be different people. We would govern differently. We would care for each other differently. We would have different families. They would be stronger. And I think it's such a roadmap for a better country, but to be better people and to be compassionate.
Minnow the good life.
The good life.
That's what we always say, and we have the 7 grandfather teachings and how we can lead a good life.
Yeah.
And very much that's in this book.
Yeah.
And that's what he's also left us with the TRC, with the calls to action.
Yeah.
People always talk about the founding fathers of Canada. I don't think so.
I like to think that Kent Monkman's mischief is in there as well. That's really important.
It's so true. Mischief sitting with Murray Sinclair.
Yeah. Oh, listen. That's a vision.
I think he'd like that.
I think he'd love it. Yeah, I think they both would, don't you?
They should put him in some shoes, the red
right,
shoes.
Exactly.
That's
well, Murray was into fluvogs in a big way. But I can see that. And they're both from the same area around Selkirk, too.
That's
so maybe,
right.
maybe there's something about that part of the world.
There is. Yeah.
I want to thank you so much. Can't imagine a lovelier person to talk about Murray with, and how he runs like a river in you, and in your book as well. So, Chi-miigwech, my friend.
Chi-miigwech, I feel so honored to be able to talk about his book and about the influence that he's had on me. And you're related to him, you're his family, but like all of us are his family, very much so.
Yep.
All of our families owe him a great, great debt.
I agree completely.
Yes.
You have been listening to Books and Ideas Audio, a presentation of the Vancouver Writers Fest. To hear more events like this one and view our upcoming events, visit our website at writersfest.bc.ca.